you find yourself in this position, you're in a bit of bother.
Is that a mat size? That's a mat size.
G'day, welcome to another episode of Smallcraft Tasmania. This is Garden Island Creek. This is a Walker Bay 10, and this is the new ePROPULSION eLITE. So in this episode, we're going to test the eLITE on the Walker Bay, then we're going to test it on a 15-foot canoe, then we're going to test it on the SCAMP. SCAMP's 11 foot 11 inches, but she's not just a dinghy. And we're also going to do a capsize and recovery test on the SCAMP with the eLITE on, just to test its waterproof ability. eLITE is ePROPULSION's newest addition. It features a 24-volt, 378 watt-hour integrated lithium battery and capable of pumping out 500 watts or 750 in sport mode. Weighing in at just 6.7 kilos, this little motor is perfectly suited to kayaks, canoes and small to medium dinghies. According to ePROPULSION, the eLITE will push an 8-foot dinghy more than 5 nautical miles at half power. At full power, it will take you just over 3 nautical miles. When I first saw the eLITE, I thought it looks like a rudder. And that made me think, what if you could use it as a rudder on a small boat? To give you an idea of the control that I've still got over the dinghy in light air. So, just turning downwind. I think in higher wind, it may not perform so well, but in light wind like this, it's fantastic. And the great thing about having a motor at hand like this, if you need a little bit of extra oomph just to get you through the jibe or the tack, there you go. A couple of the features on the eLITE. We've got this little button here. Push that in, and then you've got an extendable tiller. That's your throttle. You're in neutral, reverse, forward. We've got this little blue knob here, and you pull that out, swivel it, and that puts it into a free swinging action, and then you pop it back in again, and then that locks it. And that locks it a few different degrees as well, so depending on where you want your tiller. That's really handy. This is your motor lift lever here, so you pull that up, and then you can pull the motor up. There you go. Like that. If you're motoring in an area that's shallow, or you're worried about hitting the bottom of the motor on some rocks, what you do is you pull that up and then you flick that little blue lever up towards the motor. That lets the motor swing on its own. But remember, if you're going to go into reverse, that's what's going to happen. So if you're going to go into reverse, just make sure you flick that little button down. This is your on and off switch here, and to switch it on and off, you keep your finger on it for a few seconds, and then it powers back up again. Click it once and it toggles between the percentage of battery left and how many watts that you're using. Here you've got a little USB-C port, so you can plug your Bluetooth speaker, or you can charge your phone. Underneath, that's your mains charging port. It's incredibly well made. This is all aluminium here. This is very, very strong plastic all around here. One of the great features of the eLITE is that this bracket is a standalone unit. So if I push that button there, the motor comes off the bracket. I'll show you that later, how that works when I'm not in the water. Fear of dropping the whole thing in the water. Okay, here's another feature. Just in case you do lose your safety dongle, if that falls overboard or you've left it at home, what you do is you keep your finger on the power button for 6 seconds. It'll turn off, and then it'll turn back on again, and you've bypassed this safety dongle, so you can still use the motor. Here we go. Wind's dropped off completely now. It's like a mill pond. There's no current in here, so it'll be a good test to see what sort of speeds we can get out. So flat out, the eLITE will pump out 500 watts. It's got a sport mode. You double click the power button, it'll toggle into sport mode, and that'll give you 750 watts for about a minute. And the reason it's capped at a minute is because it's got to keep the batteries and the motor cool. After the minute, it just goes back down to 500 watts. According to the water speed app, we're doing 2.9 knots and we're currently on 108 watts. Half power at 250 watts. Keeping up, Joe? Joe's keeping up. 3.5 knots. That's at half power. I've got the centerboard down. Obviously the sail's up. Let's see what she'll do. 500 watts. Come on, Joe. 3.7 knots. 3.8. You ready, Joe?
Yeah.
We're going to do 750 watts. Here we go. Alright, that's 500. Double click the power button. Here we go. 4 knots. 4 knots. Come on, Jay. I'm really impressed with this eLITE on the Walker Bay. Not only does it push it along really well, it's a good alternative to the stock standard rudder. Look at that. It's bringing us about. The motor's not going. And we're just gently tacking around. There goes Jo, she's had enough. Now this is Garden Island here. And you can see that fishing boat there, that bit of land behind it, that's Bruny Island. And in between Garden Island and Bruny Island, that's basically the bottom of the channel. And you go further south and you get to Antarctica. Up here, you can see that big boat, that's a big salmon boat. And to the right, around that headland, that's up the Huon River. And this is Garden Island Creek Beach. And then the Garden Island Creek opening is just next to those 2 shacks on the waterfront there.
I don't have a water speed app.
No. For our next test, we're going to try the eLITE on our canoe. This is a 15-foot fiberglass canoe. First I'll go out on my own, see what sort of speeds we can get, and then I'll come in, pick up Joe and our dog, and we'll go for a scoot up the creek, see how far we can get, see how much power we use. So 100 watts, we're doing 3 knots. Let's see what she'll do. Flat out, 4 knots. Yep. I'm going against the tide. There's a bit of a current because it's still an outgoing tide. The canoe's probably a bit heavy down the stern. Double click the power button. I go into sport mode, which gives me 750 watts. Just move my weight forward a little bit. There we go. Just a tad under 5 knots. I think I just need probably another 10 kilos of weight up the front of this canoe just to stop the bum from dragging like this. All right, there's Joe. Hello, girl. Come aboard. Let's go. So, This is about as far as we can get without portaging over this fallen tree, and then we go under the bridge, and that's probably only about 20 meters before there's another tree, and it gets a little bit hard to get up any further. So we've used about 2% and we've come just over half a mile. This little motor doesn't have a problem pushing the canoe with 2.5 people on board. You could go a long way with this little motor. Okay, here we are at Charlotte's Cove launching ramp. This is Garden Island just here, and then Garden Island Creek's just around the corner here. Somewhere out there, Richard's on the Hobie Cat, and then Ben is on a kayak around the corner there. Sea Dog. A little bit on boarding straps, which you really need on the Scamp because it's got such a high freeboard. You need to be able to get back on if you do capsize. And what I've got are these Dyneema straps here. The main thing about having a boarding strap on a Scamp is to find out exactly where you're comfortable to put your foot. This seems to work well for us. We've capsized Sea Dog many times, and we've found that having your boarding strap just at that level there, so the second plank down, that level there seems to be a really good position to put your foot and then hoist yourself back up in. So what I've done is I've just spliced the Dyneema around the midship cleat, and then I've got a loop here, and then I've spliced a shorter strop here. And then what I do is, for transport or when the winds aren't too heavy, I'll just have the strap like that, and then if I think I'm in a capsizing situation, I can let it out like that, and then I can sail along with that just dangling off like that. Now, one of the other great things about this system is you've got this extra bit of Dyneema line here, which is really handy for mooring line, or if you need to attach it to your anchor line, which makes bringing in your anchor a little bit easier. So that works really well. Just remember, when you're splicing these, if you're going to do this, when you splice these, just make them a little bit smaller so it's just a little bit hard to put it over. And remember, there's quite a bit of stretch in Dyneema as well, so these will stretch quite a bit. There you go. That's the boarding straps for the Sea Dog. This is a separate bracket that comes with the eLITE. Just clip that on like that. Little button here. You press that, and then you can pull the eLITE off. Just like that. Oh, here comes Richard. I better get out there. Okay, eLITE. Couple of seconds. And then she's on. This is the first time that I've used the ePROPULSION eLITE on the Scamp. Yeah, 2.6 knots. We're using 100 watts. Flat out, like a lizard, as Richard would say. 500 watts, 3.5 knots. If I double click sport mode, go into 750 watts. Look at that. Not much difference between the canoe, the Walker Bay dinghy, and the Scamp. Let's get the sail up now. Whoa! There we go, the first capsize of the day. Yeah. Oh, I got some great footage, mate. That's a bit early for a capsize, wasn't it, Richard? So that little sea breeze has just come through now, and Richard just got the beginning of it. I think it just got him unaware. Yeah, we're chuffing along at 5 knots now. The wind's a bit stronger out here.
wind forecast, 25 knots today. Jared, how are you, mate? Couple of dolphins, bit of wind out here. Not too bad though. Strict instructions not to drop the camera. There goes Matt. Not quite sure what he's going to do. I think he's planning to reef. He's doing it over there now. I'm going to have to paddle faster. No way I'm going to keep up with him. Come on, Hobie. Come on, Hobie. Go on, Matt. Is that a mat size? Huh? That's a mat size.
Got a lot of water in there. This wants to keep one coming around.
Yeah. I'm struggling to keep you in shot. Oh, there she goes. Sea dog. There goes the...
Want to have your camera?
Sorry?
Camera.
You want the camera, do you? You could have bought 2 cameras. There you go. Don't drop it. Hey, don't get any water on it either.
If I'm not out in 10 minutes, come looking for me.
Bit of
Have
string.
a line on here, which will help you ride the boat. Maybe you should go right there.
What Matt's saying is it's very handy to have that bit of rope to pull the centerboard out. In fact, it's critical. Also, you do have to beware of that centerboard coming down, as we saw. Now, she should pop up pretty quickly. The other truck today, just going to reverse out of here. comes over, you might be in trouble. We'll see. But when the wind catches that sail, it may bring it over. Okay, so the trap now, let's see, he's on the leeward side. Now there is a risk going around the stern, the boat will sail away. Matt's on it.
Got a scupper about that big, so it takes a little while for the buoyancy to work for that water to escape, and obviously if you're going to sail, it'll come out a lot faster.
Might want to go and see how Richard's doing there.
It's Ben's turn now. There's Richard. Richard's got a reef in as well. It is pretty windy out here. Nice little jog. Here he goes. Nearly. Ah, there he is. All right. And I'll come around. Good job.
I took my hat.
Good job. So this is a great test for the eLITE. The eLITE's waterproof, and I spoke to ePROPULSION and they said it was fine for me to do this capsize test, and you certainly wouldn't do this with a petrol motor because it'd be stuffed after you did this. Yeah, because the scupper on the stern of the Scamp is so small, it takes a while for that water to get out. There's quite a few buckets of water in there after you capsize, So it's faster to just bucket it out, or you know, if you're not in a hurry, you can just sail along and it'll eventually just escape out there due to all the positive buoyancy. And you probably noticed before how easy the Scamp came back up again. One of the reasons for that is because of all of the positive buoyancy in the forward cabin area. That's a bucket, mate.
This is the Scamp version of Hove 2.
Yep, this is what we call parking. Parking the Scamp. So you can just sit there like that. You can see the boarding straps just hanging in the water, which is where they should have been when I did my first capsize.
I thought I was going home, mate. The rudder all fell apart.
What the?
That pin, the little pin.
The pin came out, did it?
Out, yeah. Nothing seems to be broken.
So it's Richard's turn to have a capsize, and what we're going to do, somehow, we're going to get Richard out of the cat into the Sea Dog. See how that goes. Look at this expertise here. These guys know what they're doing. Doesn't the furler work, Richard?
Did you have the cellar extension come off, or is that?
No. The whole thing lifts off the
I'm going to jump aboard,
back, yeah.
and then I'll...
You've got it?
Yep, I got it here.
Good.
It's just cool.
Look at the expertise of these blokes.
Oh, look, tell you.
They know what they're doing.
What could go wrong?
There we go. I think this is the second or third time that Richard sailed the Scamp. And Richard's thinking about building one himself. Geez, we're going to sleep well tonight. Let me know when you're ready to go. Okay. There we go. Benny's got the hang of it. That's how you do it. There's sort of a fine line between I don't want to do it, I don't want to do it, and she goes, all right, there you go, there we go, there we go, good job, there we go. Nice. All right.
You've got to go out of your way, haven't you?
Yeah. Rightio. Now, if you just reach up, you'll feel that boarding strap. There it is. Yeah. Let me just turn around. There we go. Oh, there we go. Well done. Oh. Oh. They're a bit tricky to tack, those things. You got to make like a big U-turn. You can't V-tack like you would a monohull. See if we can get the hull up. Get it on one hull. Oh, nearly. What do you think of the Hobie? It's good fun, isn't it? Look at that, that's something you don't see every day. A cat and a dog at sea. Ah, rightio. So, Richard's now on the kayak. I've swapped with him. Ben's still scooting around on the Hobie, and it's still blowing up to about 20 knots. Now I've just switched on the ePROPULSION, and it still works. So it's been underwater a few times for quite a while, and I just thought it'd be interesting to see how fast it will push the Scamp into weather like this. Okay, it's 500 watts, and we're pushing into quite a big sea at the moment. Pushing into a bit of sea, about 20 knots of wind. We've got the sail up, centerboard down. We're moving along, 2.5 knots. I'll just click it into sport mode, just double click. That's 750 watts, 2.8 knots. That's pretty good. That's pretty good for a little motor. I was skeptical at first. When I first got this motor, I thought, nah, it's too small. That's not going to push the Scamp when I need it to be pushed. But it's working. It's pushing her. In conditions like this, you probably want to sail anyway. But it's good to know that, you know, for a minute you've got that 750 watts. If you need to set a sail or reef or something and you just need to head to the wind, you got a bit of, it buys you a bit of time. All right, it's picking up now. I'll turn the motor off and head back to the ramp. We're back at the Charlotte's Cove ramp now. Hope you've enjoyed the episode, and thanks for watching. And if you haven't already, please hit subscribe. And if you're thinking about buying one of these ePROPULSION eLITEs, 2 thumbs up. They're fantastic. If you're going to buy one, make sure you mention our name. Say Small Craft Tasmania, Matt and Joe sent you. Stay salty. See you next time. What about if you furl the sail? Will that help?
I doubt it. Might do, but...
Oh. Oh, all right, I've got another one. Okay, it's on 300 watts. And I'm in reverse. Hello, what's going on? I'm not going anywhere, I'm in reverse. All right.